Hello. Thank you for tuning into my channel. I'm starting a new quilt journey today as I create a 7s and 9s quilt. So if you want to see how to make a cool block like this, please stay tuned. I have been exploring some different avenues for quilting resources. One of the resources that I've been playing around with and looking is paying more attention to my local library. I picked up this book. It's called Quick Colorful Quilts from my library. It says 15 sizzling new, fast, and easy quilts. It says it was published in 2003 right here, or first published in 2003. So to say that it's new patterns, maybe not, but it has some really interesting things in it. And I was kind of looking for something for some 2.5-inch squares or just some general inspiration. Now, in this book, it is from England, and I realized that as I was reading because it calls the batting wadding. So, it is from England. It doesn't matter. These quilts will make up really easily. This is just one example, and it has several chapters and different ideas. I am really just enjoying kind of flipping through it. It has a little bit of applique here. It talks about hand piecing quilts. This one's really pretty with the sawtooth stars. I mean, they call this one the sawtooth star, but it has 4 patches in the center. It's a really interesting block. And I love this one. It has improv blocks and applique. But the one that I was really drawn to, that one is also very interesting, is this one. It's called 7s and 9s. And as I looked at it, like this way, it looks pretty complicated. Even with the picture, it's complicated. But it really is just a square with 7 pieces, and you make 63 blocks. So that's the 7 by 9 layout. And so I wanted to explore this. I'm going to explore this with my 2.5-inch squares and some 2.5-inch strips, and then it needs some solid squares. So I decided to, as I went through my stuff for the 2.5-inch squares, I went through and rated my 2.5-inch square stash. And I decided to make a Christmas quilt. I was really interested in making one. I've never made an actual red and green quilt. So I pulled from my red squares here. I pulled from my green squares and from my neutral. I did a little bit of math to see how many blocks or how many squares I'll need for this entire process. And I put them in this bag. Everything is in here, and I'm just going to shake it up and pull out 2 at a time to make sort of a random look, hopefully, for the quilt. Like in this block, my quilt is going to be, the squares are going to be mostly green and then a little bit of red. But I'm going to have my rectangles from red and then the large solid squares. So let's see, if we look at this drawing, this is not exact, like it can be any way I want it to be, but the solid squares I'm going to pull from these. These are left over from my nephew's quilt, and then maybe a few things in the scrap bag, but I only need 8 squares. And so I'll cut those out of what I can from there. And then my 2.5-inch strips will also be red. And so that's why I'm doing 2/3 green and then 1/3 red. But it's really neat. I think it's going to turn out really great. And I want to make a quick block here on camera to show it to you. It's really fun. I made one this morning and it turned out cute. You can see it. But in the pattern, they actually use fat quarters cut into strips, but I decided to raid my 2.5-inch stash. So that's what I'm going to do. I will, this will be like a 10-minute a day project. I'm not stressing about it. I just, hopefully I can have it done as a Christmas quilt. I don't know if it's going to be for myself or if I'm going to gift it, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. To make this block, all I need is 6 2 patches joined together, and then the 2.5 inch strip. So what I'm going to do, this one was not random really, but I'm going to make my next block random. So I'm going to shake this up and then pull 2 out and start sewing. I'll do this on camera. You will see part of my leader ender project because there's one part that I have to, when I take this off, I'm going to have to use my leader enders for it. But I'm trying to think, because I have a 2.5 inch strip right here, it might make more sense to make 2 blocks. That way I can use up both of the, like use up this whole strip. So I may do that. So that will mean doing 6 2 patches instead of 3, but you will get to see the process. So all I'm doing right now, shaking it up, I'm just going to pull out the first 2 and sew them together. And I will keep doing that over and over, as long as they don't match. Okay. And I would like try to worry about the color, but I don't know if it's even worth that. Hold on. Let me show you kind of what I'm doing here. I got to mix them all up because they were stacked by color. So the colors are all kind of together. So let's see what we can find. Okay. So these 2 will go together, right sides together. And I have to do this 5 more times. And once I get started with my, let me bring you closer. Once I get started with my 10 minutes, I'm just going to stitch and stitch and stitch. I'm only making these 2 blocks here because of the video, but I don't think I'm going to do that in real life when I'm sewing not on camera. So let's see. I'm going to pull my snips over so I can take this off, my leader ender off. Okay, then we reach in, we get 2 more. And I have twice as many neutrals than red and green. So I know that that's going to play a part too. Pull this one out and this one. Okay. And I generally put the dark color on the bottom, but I don't know if I'm always going to try to pull a light with a dark, because it would be really neat if it was completely random. But like I said, I have so many neutrals in here that it may make more sense just to do 2. So like pull out 1 of these and then 1 neutral. But I should have put them in separate bags, but I didn't do that. I might need to do that. Okay, so 3. I'm really excited about this quilt because it totally killed my green stash. There's only, well, I don't know exactly how many blocks there are, but there are not a lot of greens left. I'm not sure about the reds because I have the reds with the pinks. So we'll see. All right. And 1, 2. All right, and I'm just going to put these together in the order that they're in. And for this one, since I did use a red, I always used a neutral with a darker color. Then we're just gonna let that be. Okay. But I'm not sure, like I said, what I'm gonna do ultimately with these. So I'm gonna sew these 2 together. Oh, so that I pressed that the wrong way. I pressed it to the light instead of to the dark. Okay. And then and these might have a lot of strings on them because they've been scraps, but not worried about that either. All right, so these are the odd men out. And they are actually not stitched neatly, like super neatly at all. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I would say it's freeing. I'm just saying that they are not, I'm just saying that it's not stitched well. Okay, and then I'm going to take this one like this. And I think it's easier actually making the two, making two blocks at once, because I am going to be able to chain piece this whole thing. All right, so this one's going to go like this. And it can, if I choose to, I can put two like ones together, but I'm just not doing that for this one. Because it can go either way. It can go any way I want it to go. I don't know if I have the guts to not do it this way with the light and dark. But I'll just play it by ear and see what I feel as I'm going. Okay. All right, so I have the first piece here, and when I get it off of this, I'm just pressing it to one side. You could swirl the seams, but I'm not taking the time to do that. And I'm going to now take this piece, and this is my 2.5 inch strip, and I'm just going to stitch it on there, and then I'm going to cut this one off and put it down at the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to cut close to the edge of this, not super, it doesn't have to be super precise right now. So actually I'm not going to make it precise at all. I'm just going to cut it right in the middle here, and I'll go ahead and cut off the edge of this. Okay. All right, so we're going to fold these back, give them a nice press, and then I will show you what they look like. I have my blocks all finished and pressed. This is the first one that I made before filming the video. And then these are the two that I just put together. They are pretty cute. I like them. And in the quilt, they can turn every which way. So you might see one looking like that. You might see one looking like this. So we'll get a lot of versatility with these blocks. And also once we intersperse those solid squares, it's going to create a really unique look. I am excited about this. Like I said, this will be like a 10-minute a day project, and I will just do as much as I can in those 10 minutes and then put everything up when I'm done. I still need to make a plan for what I'm going to do first, second, and third. As far as cutting, I need to be a little bit more strategic about how I do the cutting for this. But I'm excited about this project. I think it's going to look great in the reds and greens. Can't wait to complete a cool Christmas quilt. Again, this is a pattern inspired by the book Quick Colorful Quilts. It says edited by Rosemary Wilkinson, that I got from my local library. And I think it's a block that I will be able to use up some scraps, bust through this stuff. It's called 7s and 9s. Let me know what you think of this pattern. There's one layout that I could possibly do. Let me know what you think of this pattern. Hopefully you can choose something similar to this to bust through some of your scraps. Let me know if you do in the comments. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!